Today we're looking at what might be the best way to have your cake and eat it too. Do you need to carry kids and or crap, but you also want to go supercar fast? Well today, thanks to the generosity of my friends over at International BMW, we're going to see if the BMW X5M competition can scratch that itch. These super SUVs are kind of a weird concept at their core. You're mixing an SUV, something intended to be large, comfortable, and incredibly practical, and then you're mixing that with sports car DNA, something that's supposed to be low-slung, small, light, and kind of inherently compromised. So what we're here to do today is find out if this X5M can bend the laws of physics to deliver on both fronts. Let's start where we always do, under the hood. Thundering away is the beating heart of a 4.4-liter twin-turbo V8, and we're familiar with this S63 from our time in the M5 and the M8 and a couple others. It's a brilliantly powerful engine, and in this application it's tuned to make a whopping 617 horsepower and 553 pound-feet. That horsepower figure is way up over the base X5M, but the torque number stays the same. But don't for 1 second think that this thing is slow. This thing is mind-bendingly quick. This thing gets from 0 to 60 in under 4 seconds. And quick reminder, this is a mid-size family SUV that can take you and your family and all your crap for a camping weekend if you really, really want to. And if you do go on that camping trip, the exhaust will split trees at full tilt. Power is great and is the thing that grabs headlines, but there's a very important letter on the back of this X5. And that letter brings an expectation of elite dynamics and handling. And as we start to talk about dynamics, we're not talking about just the straight line speed. This is where you start testing the opposed ideology of something like a super SUV. But here's the thing, they pulled it off. The brakes are huge and strong. The steering is really quick, it's super accurate, and I do feel a decent amount from those PS4S tires up front. And the suspension is an electronically controlled adaptive damper, and it reads the road hundreds of times a second and makes micro adjustments just to put me in the right body and chassis configuration. And then all the way down to the chassis itself. It's been really rigiditized, and you can see evidence of that the second you pop open the hood. And then you get to corner exit, and then you start to roll on the power, and then you have the ELSD making sure that none of the power from that massive 4.4-liter twin-turbo V8 making 617 horsepower, none of that's wasted. None of that power is ever wasted here. Say what you will about modern BMWs, but their powertrains are faultless. You're hard-pressed to find a more potent duo than a BMW engine and a ZF 8-speed gearbox. The shift logic is perfect. There's good sounds and drama on shift, and I never feel like any power is wasted or isn't getting to the ground. In 5 words or less, this thing is stupid fast. Honestly, I'm amazed that BMW has found some way through front and rear anti-roll bars, electric dampers, the PS4S tires, and some of the crazy chassis strengthening to somehow wrangle the almost 5,500 pound behemoth that is this X5M competition. However, in the pursuit of sport, many forego the plush aspect, and this is still at its core a mid-size SUV wearing a BMW badge. So there are some expectations on the other side of the spectrum. Sometimes you just want your car to get you there without a V8 shouting at you or taking a corner at 2 Gs. So how does this X5M comp soften up? And of course, yes, the electronic dampers, they dial back and they soften back in comfort mode, but they're still kind of always doing stuff. It never really feels like the car truly kind of like settles down and settles in for like a long highway journey. It always kind of feels like it's nudging you, saying like, yeah, that was nice and relaxing. Are we ready to drive hard again now? And that's of course not to say that this is, not livable or it's uncomfortable in any way, but when you do buy a 5,000 pound SUV with the letter M on it, you should kind of know what you're getting into. And of course, there's another word under that, competition, that kind of doubles down on that concept. So, behind the wheel, this X5M competition is insanely quick. It handles better than a lot of mid-tier sports cars, much less mid-size SUVs. And with all comps getting M Sport exhaust, it makes all the right noises. And it can do the daily thing. But you can tell, at its heart, it wants to be driven hard. Oh my gosh, I love this thing. It's fast as hell, it sounds incredible, and it looks the business. I'm gonna make a hot take here and just say that I think generally across the board, especially with this X5, BMW styling for their SUVs does it a little bit more for me than their sedan or coupe lineup, at least right now. But what we have here is a gorgeous SUV thanks to the spec here. You have this beautiful San Marino blue. There's so much dimension, especially when you put polarized sunglasses on. And of course, this is the X5 Competition, and all Competition get all black accents around your grille, your front fascia, around the sides, and in the back. And it looks mean, it looks aggressive. We were shooting rollers just a little bit ago and it looked incredible. Now, one of the things that I really like for this year is the anniversary of the M division. You have a special anniversary roundel on the front and in the back to celebrate that. So that's really cool. It's like a $200 extra. Absolutely worth it. It looks fantastic. Now, as we look at this grille, this used to be a huge grille, and now, based on the rollout of the 7 Series, the X7, the 3 and 4 Series, this looks super, super normal. It is still big, and you can see through it, and it has to be big, really, because it has to cool that massive 4.4 liter twin turbo V8. There's a lot of other cooling down in his lower fascia as well, but you can actually also see some additional chassis bracing in front of the fan here, and of course, when you lift the hood, you see a lot of additional chassis bracing, and that's for that rigidity. That's for the M models, of course. Now, we have BMW laser lights. LEDs are so blasé now. You have laser lights, you have a really aggressive black accented front fascia, as you typically would in an M and Competition more specifically. Now, around the side here, we have really, really nice wheel arches. They're finished in the same body color that you get, that San Marino blue. You have 21-inch wheels. They're kind of a nice two-tone with black and a like brushed aluminum effect to it, wrapped in a very nice set of Michelin Pilot Sport 4S tires. That's a lot of grip. It's a fantastic tire, especially for something this size and this weight. Keeping lateral load, that's a good job right there. Now, interestingly, you have this grille here. Of course, it's black. It doesn't really seem to have any sort of function to it. Can't put my finger through it. So yeah, it's mostly decorative, but hey, I think it looks cool. Of course, around the side, you have black accented M wing mirrors with the nice tooth. You have black window treatments. And my favorite thing, no wonder I love the look of this thing, it's a typical SUV shape. It looks great. It's not the sloped rear hatch like you would get in a lot of the EVs that we're testing for aerodynamic purposes. It's not the X4, it's not the X6. This to me is the sweet spot in terms of looks. Now, the only thing I think I'll say that I don't love about the look of this thing is you do seem to get a good amount of wheel gap. This doesn't have air suspension, and that's obviously for a purpose, but it does seem to be a little bit tall. It's not really, it doesn't slap you in the face, but it's just something I noticed. Around back here, of course, you have kind of a dual molded in upper hatch wing. You've got beautiful blue again. This is just fantastic. The LED lights are a nice, simple design. You've got your anniversary roundel, black X5 Competition badge out back, and one of my favorite things, the split folding tailgate. So of course the upper portion folds up, and then the lower portion folds down and out, so you could sit on it if you so choose. And then of course down below you have your all black gloss diffuser and your quad tips. But some of the best stuff is going on inside, so let's check it out. And then the really nice spec continues in here. You have this Sakhir orange kind of two-tone interior. It looks amazing, although it's not exactly what I would consider orange. It's more of a red, but it does feel really special. The design in here is excellent. The mix of quilting and cross-stitching, it's amazing. And you also have a huge diversity in materials, from leathers to aluminums, nice plastics, rubberized textures, stitched everything, carbon fiber. Like, there's so much going on in here, and it just really gives kind of a level of opulence that you wouldn't normally get. And of course, let's not forget that your seats light up with the X5M logo, which I'm a sucker for. It's a gimmick, but I'm a huge sucker for it. I think it looks really cool. The HUD, the head-up display, it's totally customizable. You can get your song in there, your driver assistance suite information up there, and of course, you have your digital cluster that adapts to your drive mode as well. Over to the right, you do have a touchscreen with your iDrive system. It's iDrive 7, so it's not the same system that we tried in the iX and the i4, but it's still very, very good. I think the graphics are good, the processing is fast, it gets you loads of features. You have, your reverse assist or breadcrumbs. If you pull into a really weird spot, it'll remember how you pulled in and pull you out for you, just remembering exactly how you got in. So you have that, you have park assist, traffic jam assist, and by the way, like I said, this driver assistance suite on here, the BMW's is great. It's the traffic jam assist. It's got this kind of camera in your gauge cluster, so as long as you're under a certain speed and your eyes are on the road, you're paying attention, you basically never have to touch the steering wheel. Of course, that's the caveat. No car is self-driving. Just want to make sure that that's clear, but this one is very, very good. Of course, in your infotainment here, you do have really, really nice 360 cameras. They're great resolution, brightness, all that same stuff. But you do have that kind of like 360 augmented reality with the gesture control. It's really, really cool. You do also have a built-in drive recorder with cameras all over the car. So it uses the same cameras that you get for the 360 camera, and it will record incidents up to 20 seconds ahead and behind or after when you set an incident. It'll also automatically do it. You can program it. You can set your home page to have that available to you as well. So that's super nice to have, and you don't have to spend a couple $100 extra to get a drive recorder. But I did forget to mention the steering wheel. Of course, you have your M steering wheel, and it's nice and thick, and it's got good bolstering. It's got great M contrast stitching in here, but you also do have your customizable M1 and M2 modes. Now, if this is me personally, I would probably set M1 as like, you know, loud exhaust, you know, sharp engine response, but like soften back the suspension for just daily driving. And then I would set M2 to be, you know, just basically maxed out everything. So firm suspension, loud exhaust, you know, all of the works, the quickest shifts and all that stuff. So that's really nice to have. You also do have a heated steering wheel. I should also mention you do have 3-level heated and cooled seats up front, as well as heated and cooled cup holders. That's some luxury stuff. Well done, BMW. And then you do have a huge pano roof. You got a really nice kind of micro suede headliner. Again, it feels really nice in here. All the materials, the build comes together really, really well. But as we start to talk about something like the back seat, you have heated seats in the back seat, which is fantastic. You get a lot of room. There's not really much of a transmission tunnel that comes up into your footwell, so you have a good amount of foot space. I can fit behind myself at 6'1" pretty comfortably. You do have manual sunshades. You do have ambient lighting back there. You have individual climate controls, heated seats, like I said. And then, of course, as we start to talk about the trunk, it's big. It's a great size, and I love the fact that the tailgate splits, so you can sit down on it if you want to tailgate or whatever. And then just one thing to note, not that anybody that owns an X5M Competition will be towing, but your towing figure is pretty pathetic at 1,653 pounds. Again, who cares? You're not going to tow with this thing. But with that, I think it's probably a good time to get into the final thoughts. So the X5M Competition from BMW. It's insanely fast, super sharp, and you can still bring anything you want with you. It's the most super of all the super SUVs I've ever tested. And at 120 grand, you're paying a lot, but you're getting a lot of car. So thanks again to my friends at International BMW for letting me have a go. And if you're interested in this thing, go check out the link I left in the description below.